Grace and peace, church family. Welcome to day 8 of our 21-day journey into Unshakable Faith. As we begin the second week, our theme for today is living by unshakable faith, and we're reflecting on 2 Corinthians 5:7, which says, "For we live by faith, not by sight." This verse is short, but it's packed with truth that challenges us to consider what it really means to trust God. Let's unpack it together. Paul wrote these words to the church in Corinth as part of a larger conversation about eternity. He describes our earthly lives as temporary, like tents, and contrasts them to the eternal home that God has prepared for us, which is permanent and glorious. Paul reminds us that even though life can be uncertain and fragile, our confidence comes from living by faith, trusting in God's promises and His plans for eternity. Living by faith means we don't have all the answers or see the full picture to take the next step. It's about trusting that God knows the way even when we don't. That kind of faith isn't blind, it's built on knowing God's character and His faithfulness. This idea of living by faith and not by sight reminds me of something that happened to me when I was about 4 years old. My dad was teaching me how to swim, and my final lesson was to jump into the pool and swim to him. Now, as a little kid, I was terrified. The water looked so big, and I felt so small. But my dad kept encouraging me, saying, "I'm here. I'll catch you. You'll be okay. Just jump." He repeated it over and over to give me confidence. Even though I was scared, I already had enough life experience with my dad to trust him completely. He had always been there for me, so I believed him when he said he wouldn't let anything bad happen. Finally, I took the leap. I struggled a bit at first, but my dad was there to pick me up. We tried again, and eventually I was swimming on my own. Looking back, I realized I wouldn't have learned to swim so young if I didn't have faith in my dad's ability to keep me safe. In the same way, living by faith in God is about trusting in His presence, His promises, and His character, even when we're stepping into the unknown. Like my dad, God is saying to us, "I'm here. You'll be okay. Just trust me." What does that mean for us? Living by faith means letting go of the need to have everything figured out and trusting God instead. It's about keeping our eyes on Him and the eternal promises He's made rather than being consumed by temporary challenges. Paul's words remind us that faith grows through relationship. The more we know God, His love, His faithfulness, and His wisdom, the more confident we become in trusting Him. This doesn't mean we'll never feel scared or uncertain, but it does mean we can take the next step, knowing that God is with us. So how can we live by faith today? Start by leaning into your relationship with God. Spend time in His Word. Talk to Him in prayer and reflect on the ways He's been faithful in your life. Let those moments build your confidence to trust Him more deeply. Remember, living by faith isn't just about believing, it's about taking action. Before we close, let's take a moment to reflect and pray about these questions. What areas of your life feel uncertain or unclear right now, and how can you trust God to guide you through them? How can you deepen your relationship with God so that your faith grows stronger even when you can't see the full picture? What is one step of faith you can take today, trusting that God is with you and will catch you if you leap? Take these questions into prayer and let God speak to your heart as you reflect on what it means to live by unshakable faith. Living by faith and not by sight isn't always easy, but it's worth it. When we trust God, even in the unknown, we discover just how faithful He is. Thank you for joining me on day 8 of our journey. If you've been blessed by this reflection, share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what living by faith means to you. And if you're just joining us, it's not too late to follow along. You could find all the previous videos in our playlist, 21-Day Journey to Unshakable Faith. I'll see you tomorrow for day 9. Until then, stay rooted in Christ and keep walking by faith.